In 1251, Lithuania was the last European nation to accept Christianity. 250 years before Lourdes and Fatima, the Blessed Virgin Mary appeared in the village of Siluva, Lithuania. The Protestant Reformation swept over Europe. Not even this village escaped its impact. In 1532, the local governor became a zealous Calvinist, as did many nobility intellectuals. They in turn forced their will upon the people. The Catholics of Siluva were helpless to resist the repression of their faith by the powerful. The properties owned by the church were seized by the Calvinists and they turned it to their churches. When John, the parish priest of Siluva, heard what was to happen, he built an ironclad box. He carefully wrapped the treasured painting of the Virgin Mary and the Child, liturgical vestments, and documents which proved that the Catholic Church was existing there, and placed them in the box. Then he sealed the box and buried it deep in the ground near a large rock. His action was truly inspired because a short time later, the authorities seized the church. One summer day in 1608, a number of children were tending their sheep in a field on the outskirts of the village of Siluva. They were playing near a large rock close to a wooded section of the field, shouting to one another in carefree fun. Suddenly, one after another stood transfixed, staring in the direction of the rock. In the silence, there could be heard the sound of loud sobbing. Then the children beheld a beautiful young woman standing on the rock, holding a baby in her arms and weeping bitterly. Her overwhelming grief was only too evident. She did not speak, but looked at them sadly as she stood there, weeping as though her heart was breaking. So profuse were her tears that they ran down her cheeks and some of them splashed on the rock. The woman was dressed in flowing blue and white robes, unlike any costume which the children were familiar. Her long, light brown hair fell softly over her shoulders. A strange light surrounded both the woman and the child. The children ran up to the village and started speaking to the people of the village. And the pastor also came to hear about what the children saw, and he rebuked them. Nevertheless, the next day morning, some of the people from the village, together with the pastor, were present near the rock. Heart-rending sound of sobbing was heard. All eyes turned to the rock, and there, standing in their midst, was the weeping lady with the baby in her arms, just as the children had described her. The people stood in amazement. The pastor, too, could do nothing but stare. The woman's face was clouded in deep sorrow, and her cheeks were bathed in bitter tears. Finally, the pastor regained his composure and asked, "Why are you weeping?" In a voice filled with sorrowful emotion, she replied, "There was a time when my beloved son was worshipped by my people on this very spot. But now they have given this sacred soil over to the plowman and the tiller and to the animals for gazing." Without another word, she vanished. The belief that the Mother of God had appeared in person to chide them for their neglect of Catholic faith quickly grew among people, and slowly people turned back to Catholic faith. This apparition has been proven actual event, authenticated by a papal decree issued by Pope Pius VI on August 17, 1775, and a beautiful church was built on the rock where Our Lady appeared. September 8 is celebrated as the feast day of Our Lady of Siluva. Our Lady of Siluva pray for us. Amen.